And so, continuing with our quote there about when Bengel interacted with Zinzendorf on his views of end times, kind of showing some positive interaction about it. Uh, it says here Bengel's end times predictions were, quote, based less upon an event of the medieval papacy than it was Bengel's own experience of his own time as the end time. And Carter Lindbergh writes, he observed keenly the events of the time, not only the troop movements of the Austrian War of Succession, which in 1744 occurred not far from Herbringen, but also the rise of the young Prussian King Frederick II. So, he's saying that instead of it just being focused on kind of the interpretations of the time, instead it was what was going on, key critical events that were taking place on the front page of the newspaper, so to speak, in the 1700s. That's where Bengel's views were coming, which would be more consistent with a premillennialist. Yes, observing these signs of the times, he wrote his son-in-law, Roos, that, quote, the number of the beast is running out. So again, he sounds like a premillennialist in saying this. One of his predictions that he made, I deem, quote, I deem ever more certain, and we have to consider whether or not the beast will soon emerge on Earth and from Asia, as is referred, and there are phenomena in Europe as well to consider. So, he's looking for the Antichrist, and he's saying it's about to happen anytime soon. Sounds a lot like a premillennialist, all right? He pressed imminence of Christ's return so much to those around him that they felt like they needed to move their homes, as we said before. So I would say beware of modern revisionism, okay? This is obviously taking place today. All of a sudden, John Bengel has become a postmillennialist in the last, 100 years, and the truth is he was a premillennialist in his own era, okay? To go down the line of H. Orton Wiley specifically, he introduces Bengel into his third volume of theology, and this is where he puts it, the modern period, that's what he calls it, beginning with the middle of the 18th century, this is H. Orton Wiley, a new period in the history of millennialism was ushered in by the publication of Bengel's Commentary on Revelation, 1740, and his Sermons for the People, 1748. Attention was soon turned to the question of prophecy, and the study of Revelation became popular in pious churchly circles. The French Revolution at the end of the 18th century gave a fresh impetus to prophetical studies, and premillennialism, that's where he puts him, was adopted by many of the great scholastic ability and high standing in the church. So that's where he put him. He quotes Bengel like Wiley loves to do. He loves to quote the people that he is mentioning in his theology. And so he does. He says, apart from all the details of chronological computation, this is Bengel, we can but think ourselves approaching very near to the termination of a great period. Neither can we get rid of the idea that troublesome times will soon supersede the repose we have so long enjoyed. So, he's predicting trouble. Doesn't sound like a postmillennialist to me. And so at the approaching termination of any great and remarkable period, many striking events have been found to take place simultaneously. This is Bengel, and many others in quick succession. And this after a course of intermediate ages in which nothing unusual has occurred. So he's saying a lot of bad stuff's about to start happening after a long period of peace. And that's in Bengel's memoirs and writings, and Wiley quoted him from that. Wiley also puts him in the footnotes, a person who's another English contemporary of Bengel's, who is also premillennial, named Dr. John Gill, and he gives all the specifications of the premillennialist view when he does that. So Wiley no doubt believed Bengel was premillennial, or the premillennial part of the premillennial development, the heading he put Bengel under. And this in spite of the fact he brings up the peculiar two-millennial theory that people also get divided about what Bengel taught, and we can talk about that in another video as well. Wiley gives a probable explanation for this anomaly of a teaching. They all try to explain, if Wesley followed Bengel to that degree. He says that Bengel's conclusion later led to, quote, the bridehood theories. If you're not aware of what he might be focusing on there, he says, in other terms, he says the completeness of the church, which would be, who goes in the rapture? That's what that would ask. And something that probably led to the partial rapture position where only the sanctified would go in the rapture. He says these theories, however, led to another type of premillennialism, which holds that the church is incomplete at the end of the second advent, and consequently is followed by the millennium as a further period of salvation, which, I am in that camp, and that would be the partial rapturous view. Yes, again, a direct line from John Wesley to the American Holiness Movement, and all of it premillennial in its source. Okay, sourcing. Carter Lindbergh, his writing is called The Pietist Theologians, An Introduction to Theology in the 17th and 18th Century. And so he's one Wiley was using as a source. Our source from Wiley is his Christian Theology, Volume 3, page 277 to 288. You can see that for yourself. Okay. So then we can move into many other things that relate to it. I think that's a good start, though. Give you some stuff to chew on. That has to do with, where did Bengel stand? How was he received in his day? Like I said, across the board, the more I go back and the more sources I look at, the more they put him under the premillennial camp. So without a shadow of a doubt in my mind, John Bengel was a premillennialist, which would definitely suggest to me so was John Wesley. Thank you.